It's not about a whole plan. It's what is the one thing I'm going to do to move the needle on it. That allows me to keep the momentum going. And the basic impact that I'm trying to make in anyone who goes through our organization is to help them find their own purpose. The people are doing that because they have bills to pay and they have to live a life in this world. When they find out what they are passionate about, that's when they actually breakthrough happens for them. Growth lies in the uncomfortable. Growth lies in being vulnerable.
Every once in a while, you come across a human, a business professional, a company leader, somebody who's made a difference in other people's lives, not just in their businesses, but also in their career trajectory, and has changed the direction for those people. If you are somebody looking for passion, purpose, more fulfillment, more meaning from your work, stick around with us for this next session. Rishi, I am super excited to have you on the show. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Cool. Well, if those who don't know you, I'd call you the modern day Marcus Aurelius. You are a Stoic, and you're going to share some wonderful insights with us today. So I'm looking forward to hearing it. You have lovely messaging on your back wall there. So why don't we start? Tell us a little bit about some of the imagination or the innovation behind some of those messages. And that will be a good place for us to start as we dive into this, help some people with their careers and their businesses and think about what it is that they want from this life.
The story behind the messages these were put together by my leadership because they kept hearing me say these words in the office. And so they gifted me with these frames, if you will, and with the messages on it. So our business is all about innovation. And so in innovation, you got to try new things. You got to fail fast and you got to fail forward. And so that message is write it clear in that little frame. I'm all about growing and investing in myself, trying to become better every day. And so the message is I want to be the best version of myself every day. So if I make one slight improvement, incremental change in my life to make a step forward in improving, that's what that message sort of means to me and my team and my teammates. I always talk about it. You cannot stop working hard. If you are not working hard, then you just got lucky, right? But you need to never stop dreaming big because you have to really work hard to become who you need to become. And for that to happen, you need to first figure out what that big dream is. But once you get clear about that, then all you have to do is keep working towards it and stay committed. And then that dream will definitely come true. As I mentioned earlier, that I'm all about learning and growing and investing in myself. So this message is from, Steve Jobs, stay hungry, stay foolish. And I just reminds me all the time that, hey, you know what? I don't know I don't know enough. I need to keep learning. I need to stay foolish. I gotta keep absorbing more knowledge and, more information. But it's not just about knowing the information, but applying it. So I really want to stay hungry.
Yeah, I love that because curiosity is so important. Everybody knows this much about everything. So staying foolish is something that I live by. You talked in there about dream big. So why don't we go there and maybe talk a little bit about you personally first. So what is it that gets you playing bigger and stop playing small? What's that?
Well, I think we all have a capacity and we all feel that there's a potential that we are here to achieve. For me, dream bigger is all about, reflecting on my own life and my achievement thus far. I'd say, have I achieved my potential? Is there more or more to gain? And for me, dream big is all about really stretching my muscles, stretching my mind to think bigger than I am. And then what kind of impact I can bring to the people who are supporting me in that mission. So dreaming big is more about achieving one's capacity and how to fulfill it. Because I feel that, if I were to die in the next 10 minutes or anytime in the next few hours, I want to reflect back and see, hey, what did I achieve? What did I do in this world? And if I do not feel that, that I am satisfied, that means, hey, I'm not doing enough. And I think there's more to come. But I really want to not have any regrets even when I'm sort of leaving the world.
Yeah, never regret the things you've done, only the things you haven't. Yeah, I think that's really good. So, and you mentioned mortality motivation. I think that's really important. So what would be daily intentions look like for you? What kind of activities and practices do you bring to make sure that you are playing bigger and not playing small? What kind of things do you do each day that could be good lessons for other people watching this?
I think it's what I do each day stems from what I do each year, right? So every year, much like a business plan you set for a company, I set up a plan for my year, right? So I set my annual goals. I take a few days away from family and work, and I invest time in building a life plan. And the life plan is obviously not, it goes beyond a year, but it allows me to sort of plan and support what this year of intentions going to come about. So I have this manual here called Life Planner. So this is something that we share with everyone on my team. And within that plan, we reflect on the previous year. We project into the coming year, and then I come up with annual goals, and then I also divide those annual goals into quarterly goals. And so that allows me to create more intentions, and that intention is in four buckets: self, body, family, and profession. So I divide those into, and I just have one little thing I want to achieve in that. So that creates it makes me more intentional about how I want to live my life and in that moment, so that that I'm not only progressing in my business, but I'm also progressing in in my personal life. And so that creates that, and I don't not only do this myself, my family does it too. My wife does it. My two kids, I have twin boys. They're about to turn 14 this week. They set up their own goals as well, and then what comes out of that is brilliant, because it allows us to eliminate all the distractions that we may have, and then create more clear intentions to achieving what we need to do. So now having that framework that I invest time on every year, but I also invest time every quarter to reflect on how my life has been in that quarter. That creates the routine that I have for myself. So every Sunday, before going to bed, I spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes reflecting on, hey, how my previous week went and how my next week needs to be planned for, which I already have planned on Friday, but I just sort of take another moment, because I've taken 2 days of complete, not working, to say, hey, is anything changed from what I thought I should be doing this week? And then I write those things down in my journal, and then that allows me to ensure that I jot down what I'm going to be achieving which day, what are going to be my priorities, how I'm going to share that with my executive assistant. She's strategic assistant for me. She makes sure that I'm made my time available for those things. And so then I live my life with intentions. Every morning I get up at 5:30, and I spend the first 1 hour focusing on, reflecting, reading, journaling, exercising, meditating, to ensure that I'm actually going to be achieving my biggest things for the day. And then I tackle the first most important thing for me, so I can create more intentions and success early in the day itself, before I even get started. I post every day on LinkedIn. So I do also post. I write what I need to write in the morning, and then I post that every morning before my day starts. So that's how I live my life, and that's been great, because I feel that I feel really satisfied with that sort of routine, and I'm all about achieving and accomplishing things, and that sort of makes me stay very happy in my lifetime.
Also, I loved all the family references there, and congratulations on the birthdays, good milestones in your life. So appreciate you sharing that with us. And having this conversation with family members is something that's missing. Missing from my family. We never sat around the table and talked about our goals and our dreams, and that's something that I think is extremely powerful. And I'm glad that I'm able to do that now. And you mentioned this kind of Sunday review session. Sundays are game day, and what do we mean by that? We plan our whole week so we can figure out how we're going to win, all of us, and sit around at the table talking about what's coming this week, what's unique, what's different. How can we do that? You said that at the beginning of the year, coming into the year, you might take a few days to go away and think about that. So can you provide us a little bit more detail? Is that like 3 days in a log cabin, or is this 3 days in a tent under the stars? Or is it 2 days? Is it 4 days? So, tell us exactly what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So for me, it's and I got inspired by Bill Gates in his whole thing about Think Week. So I actually try to take as much time as I can, up to a week, between 4 to 5 days to about a week, away from family and work, so I can do those I can do the reflection, and I can create the stillness that I need to be able to think clearly about what I want to do and where I'm going, and then take the time to do so. So I do that every year. It doesn't have to be exactly on the end of the month, end of the December. It can be any time when I have time to be able to step away and do and accomplish that. And I try to do a think week every quarter as well.
Yeah.
So I'm in this program called Strategic Coach. So I try to coincide my think week along with Strategic Coach quarterly sessions and so I tend to sort of coincide with that. But there, we have a plan which I book ahead of time. My think times are already booked on my calendar for the rest of the year. So it's not like I'm thinking about it, end of the quarter and saying, hey, what I'm going to do. They're already on my calendar. My tickets are already booked. If I'm traveling anywhere, if I'm driving up somewhere, I already have my hotels booked and those kind of things already done.
You answered my next question, which was this quarterly review process. Because I think, measurement in flight is so crucial to it. If we want to achieve our goals, then we've got to be measuring how we're doing against them in some kind of scorecard practice or review. Is there a monthly review as well that maybe you do, but you didn't mention?
I'm reviewing every week. So I'm reminding myself of, hey, this is what I wanted to do. This is where I'm going. So no, I don't do a monthly review. But what I do a monthly review of, which is maybe of importance, is that every day when I do my journal, I have a gratitude journal that I write down, but also write down my accomplishments and my learnings. And then I tend to reflect back on every fourth week. I reflect back and look at in a journal and see, hey, what were the big wins that I had, which I feel proud of, and what are the big learnings that I have, and so I can give another review of it, right? And it's beautiful to see that. But then since I write my journal every day, at the year end, I even sit down and reread my journal and skim through it in a couple of hours, so that I know how my year went. Because a lot of times you forget what has happened, and a lot of times you don't sort of I would just say appreciate what you've done, right? So you need to sit down and reflect that, and sort of have appreciation for yourself, and maybe there's no learning in that. Right, in that reflection.
Yeah, you're planning your life, you're living the plan. So I kind of love that. And then you broke down the 3 or 4 sections in there. So tell us a bit about those sections. And then somebody watching this has probably been to umpteen goal setting workshops, and I've got some vociferous things to say about goal setting workshops. But what does it look like inside that planner or your process for those 4 areas? What are things that you would like to share with other people now that's going to pay it forward so we can actually help them? What would be the key things that stand out to you?
It's all about creating stillness and reflection. The whole agenda is to slow down before you speed up, right? And so, the idea is to make, so I'm a big list maker, right? I mean, like a lot of people are. And I feel that I'm always capturing stuff I need to do. What I realize is that if I put things into 4 main buckets of self, body, like which is could be physical or mental state, or family, because family is important for me, and profession, which could be for any career-oriented person. I put things in those 4 buckets, and that allows me to figure out, hey, what's more important for me to achieve, and all I do is write one thing I'm going to achieve in each of these buckets every week. It's not about a whole plan. It's what is the one thing I'm going to do to move the needle on it, right? And so that allows me to keep the momentum going. And there are times when I'm not able to achieve one in each of these buckets, right? And sometimes there's a scenario that I only need to move the needle on 2 of these areas in a week, and that's okay, right? The idea is I'm not trying to kill myself over it. I want to make sure that I'm making progress happen at a pace which is digestible, keeping in mind that I'm still living my life while I'm accomplishing this.
Awesome. Okay, so let's maybe transition a little bit to personal purpose, maybe business purpose. And I know we want to pay this forward as much as we can to the employees and the people in your life, but and not everybody else listening for that matter. But perhaps give us a glimpse to, what's your personal purpose in life now, given these routines and the rhythm you're living in. It really comes across to me that you're living in this rhythm, and rhythm is a good thing for a human brain. Just to bring that peace that you're talking about, is that if you're in a rhythm, you can be more peaceful. If you're out of rhythm and out of alignment, less peace. So tell us a little bit about that. What's your personal purpose, and then maybe transition into some of the business purpose you and I were talking about in the green room before we came on air.
Honestly, I have made my business purpose and my personal purpose quite in line with each other, because I realize that I am spending a lot of my time in business, and my purpose in my business is to help me achieve my own personal purpose, right? Which is making impact. It took me, when I started seeing early signs of success in my life, I realized I still couldn't find happiness. in having achieved whatever I did achieve. And I felt that what was missing is that I was not being purposeful and not being intentional. And so once I discovered what it was, I had to then test that my purpose was exactly what I wanted to be. And I realized my purpose was to make an impact, and making an impact in anyone who I am in contact with. So it could be a customer, it could be an employee, it could be someone I just met, and it's like paying it forward, right? What do I do to help them achieve what they need to achieve, and how can I be the connector of helping them connect the dots? How can I help them get closer to whatever their the dream is? And I feel that there's a lot more satisfaction for me to achieve that, and that's what keeps me going every day. So then I realized that, hey, did I want to have a different purpose for the company? And I realized that no, I did not. So when I looked at my massively transformative purpose as a company's MTP, I realized that what I needed to be was that I wanted to be making an impact on thousands of people. Right? I initially wrote 1,000 people, and then I realized that I already reached 1,000 people in my company. Not that I have 1,000 employees, but there have been, almost 1,000 plus people who have been through my organization in 25 years. So then I started pushing that boundary beyond that. And I realized that if I can make an impact on how they think and how they do things, they will make an impact on others. So there's a multiplier effect, there's a compounding effect that I did not see when I first put my goals together. So anyway, so the purpose is to make an impact on anyone and everyone that I come in contact with.
Perhaps give us some examples. What are the things that might be daily impacts on individuals, or other things where that over time that the impact is more, has more weight to it? Maybe give us some examples of that.
So I think the basic impact that I'm trying to make in anyone who goes through our organization is to help them find their own purpose. Once they find their own purpose, they have a lot more happiness come to them. And if they find if they get clear about what their intentions are and what their goals are in any of these four parameters, as I mentioned, it allows them to live a life of intentions and eliminate all the distractions they have in lifetime. And if they can achieve their purpose, they can live their purpose, and they can then identify the unique abilities that they have, then they find passion in that, and they can keep investing and becoming better in that regard. The impact that I'm going to be trying to make in them is being very purposeful, and then really identifying what the unique abilities are, and then help them find an environment where they can keep honing in those abilities and constantly becoming better at it, and then they can make a massive impact on everybody around them. So that's the compounding effect that we try to do as leaders of the organization, is to ensure that we are finding people, and sometimes find them when they are not being purposeful, but when they hear us or they see us living out a life of purpose and intentions, they do, it sort of rubs in, and then they start doing the same. And then we are sort of dream managers in each other's lives, because when I start becoming open and transparent about what I'm trying to achieve, I realize somebody else in the company is also trying to do that, and so that we can now become sort of support each other through the journey, and that is super powerful, right? Because now we all know where everyone's going and where everyone's dream is, and then we can now paint a beautiful picture together where we're supporting each other through this journey. So then businesses becomes a vehicle, right, of sorts. It's not the end goal. It's not about profitability or top line growth and whatever. It's all about how do we use this as a vehicle to live a life of purpose and achieve big dreams. And those big dreams sometimes are not all business, right? They're mostly personal.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that at the end. I think coming out of the pandemic, one of the key messages was to get money keeps the messages sustained, right? And money makes the world go round, maybe. But I do feel that there was a bit of a shift to profit being replaced by purpose, and a lot more we replacing me, people being less self-centered and starting to think about other people. And in my work, if I'm working with CEO or I'm working with a leadership team and I'm cracking heads together to help them become more high performing, one of the things I see consistently is they have difficulty finding their purpose. So it's like I'm like, well, perhaps you can help. What do you think about that? How do you help people find their purpose?
Finding a purpose is a journey. It's not a destination, and purpose may change over time, right? So I feel that people feel that it's the end goal and that's it. That doesn't change, it's fixed. No, it is a moving target, and it can move, right? But the question is, and then once you find something that you feel is a purpose, then you test it, right? You test it and you try to see how that turns out. So the journal that I was referring to showed you earlier. So, every year we actually go in and revisit. Hey, we remind ourselves this is our purpose, and this is what it means to us. This is how we're going to play our purpose. And so, but it also inspires other people, because once we declare, these goals and living life of purpose, other people get inspired by it, and they say, you know what, that sounds like me, right? I want to do that too. So I think it takes time. It takes time to discover what that life's purpose is. But how do you? I think the gauge to find the purpose is I think the barometer is really happiness, right? What brings a smile on your face? And I think purpose is something that you don't do because somebody asked you to do it. Purpose is something you do, without even thinking about it. It is in your, unconscious brain, right? You keep gravitating towards it. So that's what sort of makes it special, because you do that even when you are thinking about doing it, right? It's naturally doing.
Hey, this is James. I'm jumping in the middle of the video here because I want to let you know that there's an opportunity by clicking the link in the description underneath this video to meet me for 30 minutes. In that meeting, I will give you 2 or 3 strategies or 2 to 3 big ideas that will change your career, your mission, your business, and maybe even your life if you'll commit to acting on those things. Now, I want to let you know, I'm not there to sell you anything. I don't have anything to sell you, but I do want to have a conversation with you so you can get into momentum and start to execute against your priority activities. You mentioned a few moments ago about unique ability, and you used the phrase strategic coach as well. So I'm assuming the 2 things are linked. But I wanted to ask you about that, because the same challenge comes. I might talk to a CEO or a COO and to ask them, what are you uniquely gifted at, talented at? What is your unique ability? And they have difficulty with that too. So is there a process there for answering that question? What kind of questions might you ask, or what kind of prompts might you put in there to help people find what their unique ability is?
Yeah, it's also a process, right? A lot of people, they think let's say they are programmers, and they say programming is their unique ability. And what you realize is that, no, maybe problem solving is their unique ability. Maybe they need to be challenged with that, and that's what keeps them going. And sometimes you realize that, hey, it's not just problem solving, maybe it's project management or whatever it is. It's related to the same sort of field or service, or maybe it's none of that, right? And they may be in the wrong, doing the wrong thing. I feel that people's unique ability is in line with the passion, right? People who are passionate about something, they keep doing it, keep investing time doing it because they see happiness in it. So if they are not investing time in it in a natural form, they're probably doing something that they feel is not in line with their unique ability. Because I feel that if somebody has to be told to make progress happen in certain things and needs to be reminded, then they're actually doing the wrong thing. But yeah, it's a process. I think in our world, it starts off with the interview process. We want to make sure that we are working with people who are very passionate about doing whatever skills that we try to interview them for. And then we want to see what they do to become better at it. And if they're not investing time to become better at it, then we know that they're actually not living the life of, they're not living a life of purpose, and also not investing time and doing things that they really enjoy doing. They're just doing it because it brings a livelihood.
I believe, and I think it's true based on stats and surveys, is that most people aren't passionate about what they do, and they persist doing something they don't love. And they couldn't tell you that they love what they do, but they might love the people, and they like the sustainability or the safety of a paycheck or something like that. So what about that? What do you think it is that makes people persist doing things that they don't love to do, they're not passionate about? Why are they doing that?
I think the people are doing that because they have bills to pay and they have to live life in this world, right? And I think when they find out what they are passionate about, that's when the actually breakthrough happens for them. So there are people in our organization who actually, there's some people in our organization who love music, right? And music is their passion, and they light up as soon as they talk about music. There could be singers, there could be, they may play an instrument. And what brings them, that lights them up is them doing the gigs at night, or they love doing it over the weekend, and they spend hours practicing. And so we realize that, right? And so when you give them the freedom to do things that they love doing, and work allows them to have that balance of life where they can actually spend time creating that, and making a difference in something that they love doing, I think that sort of goes hand in hand too. So they may work in our organization, and they may love, and they may have unique abilities in doing, let's say, programming, But the fact that they have this, this love for music and they're able to live and balance that act together, that brings that happiness too, right? So it's not all or nothing, right? It has to be something that you do along the way. So I've seen that to be the case, and I also feel that if someone is passionate about something, they actually automatically have the same sort of routine and the same sort of the discipline of investing and becoming better at something else. So if people are living the life of purpose and passion, it shows up in other forms as well. So there's a saying, right? If how you do one thing is how you do everything, and so that's what is sort of also plays into the game, is that what is that discipline that you have in your life, and how does that reflect in other things you do?
We talked about rhythm and disciplines that you have, and maybe this is a good point to transition to some of the things I see about you and I notice about you is you're a fierce, what we would in the old language called networker, but I always think about it as investing with a relationship capital, and that you're always out at live events speaking as well as being a guest. And I also see you, like you said earlier, being vocal on LinkedIn and making sure that the message is heard and you're promoting other people there too. What value and role do you think that has for some of the people in your team, but also some of the people watching this? Is like, how important do you think relationships are in what it is that you do, and how we can operate in a global workforce?
Growing up, I grew up in India. But growing up, I was always very social. I was very connected, and I had this whole thing around relationship, right? And even today, I mean, in my class, about 250 students, I was very close to. I was not trying to be friends with everybody, but I was there to support everybody. Even today, we have a school alumni, and I'm the one who actually put together the digital means of communication, right? And I was very passionate about that. So I realized very early on that relationship capital is very important for me. It's like how I show up and what I do for others brought a lot of satisfaction to me and happiness to me. And so for me, connecting with people is about learning more about them, learning from the experiences. I don't want to tell them what to do because nobody wants to be told what to do, but I really want to learn from them and see how that can play. So when I meet with people and I hear about challenges and problems that they're facing, I tend to translate that into a LinkedIn post, and that's the impetus of my entire, content that I write about. Is something I learned about in a conversation. I tend to say, hey, if I could impact this gentleman or this lady a night before, how can I make other people who may have the same problem, how can I make an impact with them? And then I write about it, and I think deeper about it the next morning, and then I write about it. And that's the power of connecting and engaging and making living a life of purpose and impact. So that's what I try to do. So everything comes from, it's like a singer, right? When he says, "Oh, you wrote the song. How did you think about the song?" It actually came from one of the life experiences. So for me, writing on LinkedIn is coming from a life experience of conversations I may have had in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, you're leaving a legacy when you're doing that as well, because that content will persist. If you're doing videos, it's going to persist as well. Oh, well, I wanted to say this to the people watching. We're talking about LinkedIn and content creation. We'll post Rishi's LinkedIn handle in the show notes, so you can click on it and go and take a look at what it is we're talking about. And what you'll see is just a raft of relationship, connection, impact in there as well. And so perhaps that leads us to, so somebody doesn't have to read everything in that flow. Maybe there's some good examples, both personal and professional, of this mission, this purpose of yours of making impact. Is there a couple of stories that you can tell that would then connect to somebody else? Because yeah, that's like me, and you can tell them the story of what you've done with personal impact and professional impact. It doesn't have to be yours, by the way. You can recount somebody else's.
Yeah. So I remember when we started putting together this life planning session in the organization, and I realized that when we started the company, we were a few people, right? When we got into the triple digit of employees, I realized I did not know many people. But this whole life planning session allowed me to connect with some people that we had. And so we did the first session with them. And there was a gentleman, Sujit, I remember very distinctly. And he, basically came up and said, you know what, I've been married for that point. He said he's married 15 years. He had an arranged marriage and he was living a life with his wife, but he said he used to avoid going home because he didn't have much of a relationship with his family. because he buried himself at work, and he realized that that's what he did because he was trying to avoid. And then he would resort to drinking, and and sorry, I'm sharing this story with you. Unfortunately, he's no more. He was the only person in our team that passed away during COVID, and he was when the whole Delta thing happened. So he came out and he cried, and he shared with him. He was very vulnerable in our conversation, and we learned a lot about his struggles, and we felt that we needed to help him, but we wanted to see what help meant for him, and we realized that he had never gone on a vacation with his family. He had, and he did not have a relationship with his two kids and his wife as much as we all think we all have. So and he was a fantastic teammate, right? It was great at what he did. So we actually, we basically, when we all put together our life plan and we put together our quarterly plan, he actually took the courage to write, goals around his family that he wanted to achieve. He wanted to do a vacation with them. And he was uncomfortable with that because he didn't know how to engage with his kids, and he didn't know how to engage his wife. But if I were to just reflect on that conversation, is that we all have our challenges. We all go through life differently, and we all have, the growth lies in the uncomfortable. Growth lies in being vulnerable. Growth lies in sharing and communicating that with a few people in your lifetime that you feel trust, you feel trust with, and then growth really happens when you sort of take action. And so he took action, and I can wholeheartedly say that the last few years of his life that he spent before he passed away, unfortunately, I can tell you that he probably left this earth with a whole lot of happiness, because he did do things that he thought he would never be able to come around. And I think that made a big impact on him. And not only did it make an impact on him and his family, I think it made an impact on others who saw that happen, and that transformation and that change happen around for him. So I mean, that could be for me, that's a very close story for me, because he worked with us for almost 16 years. And he was unmarried when he joined our company, and then when he passed away, right? I mean, it made a big, left a big void in our organization. But anyway, so I want to share a story. And remember him.
Let me just say that I'm sorry for your loss there, because that sounded like an really empowering story, an impactful story, but with a tragic ending. But yeah, so sorry to hear that. Yeah, keep going. I just want to make sure I do empathize with the feeling of that.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say that we have made similar, probably not as great as this, because every impact is important. But I feel that this was something that allowed me to sort of reconfirm that what we were doing, what I was trying to do as a leader, as an individual, and a human. And really had some lasting impact on the people that we were trying to engage with, and it sort of reconfirmed that what we're doing is right, and this, we need to keep doing more of this, and so we make it a point that everyone goes through the program, and we don't force this upon anyone, but it encourages everyone to live life of purpose and intentions, and sort of invest time in finding the unique abilities and passions. And that sort of makes us feel that we're making a big impact in this world.
What are your thoughts about how would we, you and I, or anyone watching this, extend this approach into other organizations? If I think about Forbes 500 type organizations, to have this experience would be very unusual. So what do you think about, how could this be paid forward, and what is it that you and I can do, and what is it that other people watching this could do to make sure that their organizations is paying closer attention to the humans inside?
Yeah, I think it's also mind shift change, because people think people being liability, think people being noise, people have different impression of what people are. For me, people are assets, right, for the organization. And if you're not investing in those assets, they're not going to become better. I have a simple thing around it, right? Happy people make happy customers, right? So how do you create happiness in the organization that people are making the impact? Because organization is not computers, it's not AI, even though we provide services around that area. It's really people doing the right thing by others. So So for us, that's the way to look at it. So for enterprises, think about this. I think they need to figure out how do they build a culture around the organization that promotes happiness and whatever happiness means to their organization, their culture, to ensure that people then are able to put their best work and they feel satisfied and they feel a level of accomplishment and achievement. And but the impact should not be, which should go beyond the organization. Organizational impact, it should go beyond societal impact. It should be how we can impact the environment. It should be maybe impact on people's lives and how we can impact people who don't have the means. So the question is, what kind of impact can we leave behind beyond profitability or top line growth? But happiness is probably a good simple way of saying that. How do we create happiness in the organization?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because there's probably people who got to this point who are watching it thinking, well, I'm not the person who's going to be able to change that. But the fact that you disperse that into the organization and outside the organization into society gives people a handle of where they can start, as you know, whether it be voluntary or paid in their communities close by to where they live. That's where it's going to make an immediate impact. And I love that. Okay. So let's find out a little bit more about you. So yeah, perhaps some fun questions. Why don't we talk a little bit about vacations this year? Have you already had a vacation? Are you having a vacation? Where are you going? And most importantly, why are you going there?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, our kids are turning 14, so about 4 more years to go, then they'll be graduating and going to college. I read the stat many years ago that said that 80% of time they spend with their kids is actually over by the time they're 14. So, and then I went through some great, thought leaders in the space of family and family values, and they said that we only have 18 summers with your kids. So for me and my family, summertime is extremely important, and we invest the entire summer with our kids, and we do things which are important to them. And also, family doesn't go beyond; it just doesn't limit it to my kids. It is also extended to my wife and my parents and her parents. So we are going to be leaving next week for a about 6 weeks long vacation to Europe, and we spend anywhere between 4 or 5 weeks to 6 weeks every summer. Been doing that for a while, and progressively, increasing that just to ensure that we have spent more quality time with our kids. Something that we do which is important to us, is that kids go without any devices, so we have no devices involved. Only my wife and I have a phone, just so we can travel and we can do things. And so, so far they have not complained. So hopefully that continues. So we'll be doing that without devices. We spend 6 weeks traveling through Europe. 1 week I would be spending on this vacation, will be spending with my parents. My parents and I and my sister have never done Europe together. And my parents are almost turning 80. And that was one of my bucket list items that I wanted to spend some time celebrating life with them. So we're going to be doing Switzerland together for a week. And then when we come back, kids are going to go to summer camp. And while the kids are at summer camp, my wife and I are going to take some time to spend with each other. So we're going to be heading to Mexico, spending time with each other. So we'll be basically gone for 8 weeks. And I think the beautiful part of this is that the organization is aware of my vacation ahead of time. So they know this is coming, and so they have the ability to run the organization without me. And I'm not in any case in any way uncomfortable with that. I feel they have great people working for us, and they have the ability to run the organization. So it's in all aspects. It's very difficult for a lot of business owners to do. I feel it's about giving them space, giving your team space to achieve things and give the direction and clarity, and then give them the environment to excel. And so we're going to do all that. So there's a lot to this summer than just me spending time with my family in Europe. There's a lot happening.
But I like the way you set that up, because a lot of people have a different mindset, right? So we talked about mindset inside organizations before, and I meet many people who might take 3 weeks maximum off a year, and I always talk to them about 2 or 3 months, and you're already hitting your 2 or 3 months there just in that trip, and I'm sure there are other things you're going to be doing this year as well. The way you frame it is so important, is that the time spent with your family is actually a lot less than you think, so you only have this minimal opportunity, and you're just taking advantage of that now. So somebody, if you're watching this, to think about how many weeks did you take off last year and how many weeks are you planning to take off this year. you may want to think about what does that mean for you. And if you're single and you're living the life on your own, then obviously you've got a lot more flexibility. But if you do have a family, pay attention to the words because it's true. I have clients who have kids go through college or have left college, and the nest emptied fast. So the kids went to college, they thought they'd be back in breaks and vacations, and the kids didn't come back. So you miss these opportunities to actually spend time together. So I love that you framed it up. So let's try another thing. And given the amount of time your kids are hanging out with you, maybe they know the answer. But if I asked any of your kids, what do you do? What would they say? And I don't mind you telling us what each of them would say. But what would they say if I said, what does Dad do?
Well, my kids think that I'm a workaholic. I work a lot, but but they sometimes question that because when they talk to their friends, they don't have the privilege of spending summers like we do. So sometimes they get confused. So when they were younger, they were totally confused what Dad did. But so they understand. My business fairly well, in a sense that they understand that we are business of we're in consulting business, and we provide great talent around the globe, and we help customers build great software products. But from their perspective, the way we are teaching our kids is that the business is not supporting the family, right? So family is not supporting the business is supporting the family. So family is the most important thing for us, for us, and we need to ensure that we keep a clear distinction. Even though I sort of work from home, this is my home office, as you've seen. So the idea is that we want them to be very clear, and because when I set my own personal and business goals in my journal, my kids hear that, so they hear me set those goals for myself and my business. So they are totally in touch with what Dad's going to be doing this quarter or this year, and so they are part of that. So they support me through that life journey. So they know that what we're doing is that's important for me and our family, and so that we can actually with that experience share and knowledge and those conversations, our kids are learning about what it takes to be an entrepreneur, what it takes to be a business leader, and they sort of hear about some of the business decisions because if they're at home, they hear me be on phone calls and conversations, so they get to experience a little bit of experience and knowledge that I'm not directly communicating with them, but they hear it because they're in the room. Right, or they're in the house.
All right, well, I want to say thank you for your time today. This has been awesome. I used to ask these questions right at the beginning. Why do you do what you do? But I think you've given us a really good answer to that question without me asking it today. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to continuing our conversations. I know we're going to be talking again. We may even be doing more shows like this one and networking too as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But is there anything, perhaps to finish this off, what would be maybe one or two pointed questions that you could leave for somebody to kind of end the video, get a pen and paper and just to spend maybe 5, 10, 20 minutes reflecting on those questions? What would be a couple that you think have been impactful for you, but what you've noticed that have been impactful for the teams?
I think the simplest question I would say is that the five whys. Anything that you put down on paper, just ask that question 5 times, why, and then you'll get a deep understanding of why you're doing this. And if you can't answer those questions, maybe what you're written down is not that important. So I mean, that's something that I sort of I talk about, with my kids and my family and my teammates, is that, if you can answer those 5 whys, then I think you're up to something, right? And that will tell you exactly what you're doing and the plan around it.
Okay, there's one. Is there another?
So I think, I think living life of intentions means that one needs to understand what success will look like if those things were true. So I tend to, in everything I do, I try to jot down, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? What does success look like? What does lack of action look like if I don't do anything? And then what does success criteria look like? What would success be? And what are the 6, 7 things that I feel I could check the box on, and that feel that, hey, this is what has really made a big impact. So if I can write those things down, then I think I'm extremely clear about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And then it makes it, not only am I more excited about it, then when I achieve it and I feel that I've sort of checked the box and I've done it. So I think that's critical for me is how do you create, sort of a, intentionality in everything that we accomplish.
Yeah, I love that. You got to go through, understanding our impact. What impact are we going to make if this is successful? What outcomes and what will they look like? I love that you talked about success and what success looked like. Then coming up with a list of alternatives or consequences of not taking any action. I think that's awesome too. So thank you very much. If you're watching this today, I want to make sure that you do take those last two questions seriously. So we're going to put those in the show notes too, so you can act on those. Maybe take that away as your little prize gift for us today. And Rishi, I'll be seeing you real soon. I just want to thank you for your time today, and we'll say goodbye to everybody listening. Thank you for paying attention for this short video. I know there are tons of you out there who would like to get more information just like the video we just went through. So if you just click this link, I'll see you on the inside, rather giving you more tools, tips, strategies, and methodologies for you to level up in your career or your mission. I'll see you inside.